Welcome to Manufacturing Talk Radio.
Welcome, everyone, to Manufacturing Talk Radio. I'm Tim Grady, and I am here with Angela Thurman. Angela is with Thurman Company. We're going to talk a bit about Thurman, and she's also with Women in Manufacturing in the third largest chapter. They happen to be located in Texas, and we'll be interested to hear Angela's plans for that particular chapter. So, Angela, welcome to Manufacturing Talk Radio.
Thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, good. We're excited to have you. So share with our listeners a little bit about Thurman.
So Thurman Co. is my company. I am in Houston, and I own a project management consulting firm. So we offer our clients a number of services around and related to project management, including contract management and supplier management services as well. And our niche is the highly regulated industries like aerospace and automotive, pharma tech, and specifically the small to medium-sized manufacturers that likely do not have an in-house project management office. So we believe that everyone deserves excellent project management services, and we're here to help those smaller companies that need project management services from time to time.
It's a big deal, Angela. I agree with you. Project management, when you don't have it, means you really struggle with implementation. They say genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Yes.
So you're the key to actually getting things done.
We like to think so, yes. We find that oftentimes in those smaller companies, project management does exist, but it's often shoved off on the shoulders of personnel who aren't trained in project management. And so they have to take on these added responsibilities when they really don't have the knowledge or the time to take on those responsibilities. And that actually slows down the implementation of the projects that are really necessary for the companies to succeed. So whether it's a product development or an ERP implementation or just some sort of lean initiative, because they are not aligning their resources properly, or they're not bringing in a consultant, they're not achieving the best results.
And that would be easy to see how it could slow it down with everything that's on people's plates. And having a good project manager is absolutely key to hitting the milestones and maintaining the timeline and getting the right end result. So I congratulate you with that. And I also know that you're involved with Women in Manufacturing. So share a bit about what got you involved there and where you are.
Well, it's an interesting story about how I got involved. It again relates to project management. A good friend of mine was giving a presentation to the Washington State chapter of Women in Manufacturing. And so, being a good friend, I wanted to support my colleague as she was giving this presentation. And once I attended that meeting, I thought, well, this is a really awesome group. I wonder if there's a similar group in Texas. And I found that there was. So much to my delight, I was able to locate the Texas chapter and begin to attend some of their events. And I found that they had an opening for the role of secretary. So they selected me to be their secretary, and I joined the board of directors, and I served as the secretary for a couple of years. And recently I moved into the role of treasurer. So I'm now the treasurer and the membership director for the Texas chapter of Women in Manufacturing. And both of those roles involve numbers and analytics, and so they really fit with my engineering background, and those are things that nobody else wants to do. so I gave up the secretary role to someone else who's very capable, and moved into the role of treasurer.
Well, that's excellent. Now, what do you see happening in your neck of the woods in terms of, how is business doing in Texas?
It is growing, and we have so much manufacturing that our existing base of manufacturing is growing, and more manufacturers are moving to Texas. So we have a feature in our WIM Texas social media platform. So on a regular basis on LinkedIn, for example, we'll have a social media post that we call Here We Grow Again. And we feature a new manufacturer that is moving to Texas, or one of our hometown team that is growing. And those are some of the best posts. We get excellent results on those posts. So whether it's in the oil and gas industry, in the medical field, in the semiconductor field, it's across the board. So everyone thinks of Texas in oil and gas, but they're usually surprised to see how much automotive we have in Texas. So just off the top of my head, we've got GM, we've got Kia, we've got Toyota, we've General Motors. So we've got a huge base in automotive and industries that support the automotive field. But we've also got a wonderful base in semiconductor, and the products that are then related to semiconductors, like printed circuit boards, printed wired boards, and all of that industry. So very high tech as well. And then things like Dairy Farmers of America is headquartered here in Texas. Cotton. People don't think about Texas as being a major producer of cotton, but it is, and so we're very happy to continue to see the growth of American-grown textiles.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yes, so
sorry. I'm excited because with the dairy industry, because I grew up with Elsie the cow. That's Borden milk.
Yes, Borden milk. Yes.
So I'm real familiar with that. I hail from the state of Wisconsin, so love Elsie the cow from my youth. Now, Here We Grow Again, is that a Thurman company effort or a WIM effort?
Oh, that's a WIM effort. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I want to talk to you about that a bit offline, because I think there's some opportunity for us to work together on that one.
Wonderful.
For those of you who are not familiar with our monthly publication called Manufacturing Outlook, which is at manufacturingoutlook.com, we feature manufacturers and what's happening in manufacturing. So Angela and I will have a conversation about that, and we'll see if we can get some more information out to all of our readers about what's happening in Texas, because Texas is booming at the moment. I know that there are a lot of areas that are struggling, but it's always in pockets. So I'm glad to hear Texas is doing well. Mm-hmm. How's Thurman and Company doing? What's happening with Thurman Co.?
So we, as I said, we focus on those high tech and highly regulated industries. And one of the reasons that we target the highly regulated industries is because of my own background in aerospace. And so when you come from a highly regulated industry, it takes a lot more to manage those projects. You have to be cognizant of all of the regulations. For example, any type of product change has to pass a number of inspections and qualification testing before it can then be produced and sold for the OEMs. So things as simple as, let's say a factory wants to have a lean initiative, and realign their manufacturing production line. Well, that all has to be documented, and the OEM, and sometimes even the let's say it's a US based OEM, you may have to get FAA sign off as well, because it is a change that could impact air safety. And it seems like it's an overabundance of caution, but when you think that, you remember that people's lives could be at stake. And so if you make a change, you have to make sure that the date that the change is cut in is documented, even down to the serial number of the first products off the line after the change is cut in. Everything has to be carefully documented. If you change suppliers of any subcomponents, all of these things have to be carefully documented, and even the publications that support the product. So the manuals all have to be updated. And throughout all of this, you're working with your team, your engineering team, your production team, your if the product is repairable, you have to work with your repair team, make sure that the capabilities list is updated. All of this has to be, you have to work together on this. And the same thing is true for other highly regulated industries as well. And so it takes a special amount of rigor to work with those kinds of manufacturers. And so that's part of what we bring to the table, the knowledge and that rigor. And
I'm just curious, Angela, because I've done some project management work, very light grade, not down to your level of rigor, and that's the right word for it. And we're not endorsing a product here. I'm just curious what Angela uses as software. Is it something that's typically the company has created, or is it something that they bought off the shelf?
Oh, I use a very common off the shelf product, but I have created templates for all of this. So I'm a PMP, and I make sure that all of our projects follow the PMBOK guidelines. So yes, we do charters. Yes, we do project management plans, communication plans, risk management plans, all of those sorts of things to make sure that we're following the best practices.
And the Gantt charts and the PERT charts.
Yes, all of those things.
Well, those are all important pieces of the puzzle. Now, let's flip back over to WIM for a moment.
Sure.
You mentioned that WIM is the third largest chapter. Where are they headquartered in Texas, and where do you see it going?
Oh, so Texas is the third largest chapter within WIM. Yes. And we have multiple regions within the state, and each of those regions has a regional director that is responsible for the members within their region, planning events, answering questions, those sorts of things. So we don't have a headquarters per se.
Oh.
But we have large congregations of members in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, in Houston, of course, in San Antonio, along the coastal bend. And again, as an engineer, I use our membership roster each month and create a heat map to show where our members are congregated so that we can better serve them.
Great. Now, I just want to get in so that we don't miss it, how people get in touch with Angela.
My email address is angela@thurmanco.com, or they can always reach out to me through LinkedIn.
Great. And do you have a website, thurmanco.com, right?
That's correct.
Terrific. So that's another place they can begin the conversation.
Yes.
Angela, the manufacturers within WIM are all women-owned businesses. Is that right?
No, that's not
Oh,
correct.
interesting.
So WIM also has a large membership of very large corporate members. So BASF is a corporate member, a large corporate member with a large membership here in Texas. But then like Dell, just about every large corporation you can think of might be a corporate member of WIM. And on our website, we have directories of our individual members and our corporate members.
Ah, okay. Good stuff. But do you spend a lot of time working with women-owned businesses to help them in their operations?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have a number of resources available for both corporate members and individuals. And we have a lot of training available for our members as well.
And what's the focus there? What's WIM's focus for women in manufacturing?
To support, promote, and inspire women who have opted to take a career in manufacturing. And that can be the women on the production floor all the way to the C-suite, whether you're a business owner or an employee.
Great, great. And we've had the pleasure of interviewing a number of women in manufacturing, and it's not the dark, dirty, and dangerous grandfather's manufacturing plant. They're mostly these days clean rooms or darn near that level.
Definitely.
So it's fascinating to see. And what is happening in terms of WIM and Manufacturing Day? I know I'm reaching out several months here, October of 2023. Have you got plans for Manufacturing Day?
We do. So we have actually launched a Tiger team specifically for Manufacturing Day here in Texas. And we plan to host simultaneous plant tours across the state. And our cornerstone member is going to be PepsiCo. So we'll have simultaneous tours in Houston and in the DFW area, in Mesquite and in San Antonio. And then we'll have tours in other plants, other manufacturers, and we're going to involve the independent school districts and their students, particularly with mechatronics, and we're just going to bust it out.
Oh, that's great.
It'll be an explosion for Manufacturing Day here in Texas.
Well, for listeners and viewers, our mission as Manufacturing Talk Radio is to get helpful information out to manufacturers, things they can really act on. And that's why we have guests like Angela on the show, who fortunately gets to talk about Thurman Co. on the one hand and women in manufacturing on the other hand. So we're not afraid to let a name drop like PepsiCo, because they're involved in manufacturing in a big way, and they're involved with WIM. So we're glad to hear what you're doing for Manufacturing Day. It's an important day for the industry that has really taken off.
It is. So we're just really super excited, and yes, we're starting now to plan and get everything aligned and just make it as exciting and big as we can.
Oh, that's great. If you want to speak directly to manufacturers that are not members of WIM, what would you like to share with them about why they should be members of WIM?
Because it is an opportunity to support women who are in manufacturing. It is a great way to take advantage of the learning that's already been curated for employees. So, for example, if they don't have an ERG or an employee resource group to develop this kind of training for them, they can take advantage of this training that WIM has developed. And it creates a community where all of their employees can learn about the advantages of equity in the workplace. And it's just a great way to network with other manufacturers, to learn about best practices in a number of areas. And it's just a great community. And I have learned so much from the other chapter leaders about practices that we could employ in our chapter. And the guest speakers that they have at Summit, which is our annual convention, it's just a fantastic community and a great way to support the industry.
Our experience with it has been very positive, and we've been very excited to work with them in the past and have guests like you on the show. And we'll be doing some work in the future with WIM and with Angela. So, Angela, thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing about Thurman Co. Thanks for sharing about women in manufacturing. It's been a great conversation.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity.
We appreciate you being here, and we invite guests from manufacturing to join us on Manufacturing Talk Radio. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us, and we're on every week. We've put out hundreds of shows. I think we've crested over 700 now, so you can find us certainly at Manufacturing Talk Radio on YouTube and at mfgtalkradio.com. Again, thanks for joining us on this episode.
That's our show for today. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to support the show, please like and subscribe, share on social media, or leave a review. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Rumble, or your favorite podcast app. Visit us online at mfgtalkradio.com for our other episodes. We have also included links to our advertisers below. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.